Hi, Dolly. Hi, friends. It is a hot one this morning, but we are buckling things up and getting ready to hit the road. And so, yeah, it's on. It's on for right now. Hopefully, we have an uneventful trip. It's about 200 miles south from where we live. right, so we are here, finally. That was a long trip. We left around 10 o'clock this morning. It is now 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was not a totally uneventful trip. The engine started backfiring when we were about 30 miles from here. So tomorrow when the engine's cooled down, Scott's going to have to tear it apart and see what's going on so we can get home. So hopefully it's nothing major and he can get it taken care of. Right now we've got the air conditioners going to try to get the camper cooled off because boy, that was a hot drive. But at least we're here, thank goodness. I got to take some Tylenol because I have a headache. Woody?
Hold on. Let's see if I can.
You might want to hold the button
push
for
the
him.
button for me.
The button.
Air's out. One of you guys. Air out. They don't seem to mind just drinking it off the ground.
And this is what we had for supper the first night. The family had tacos. I had a taco salad, and I had all the food prepped ahead of time. All I had to do was warm up the meat, and Scott warmed up the shells on the grill, and everything was ready. And I was really glad I thought to do that because I did not realize it was going to be such a long trip. And it took us a good 5 hours to get there, and we were all really tired and really hot, so it was nice to know we didn't have to think about cooking.
Landing on my shoulder.
So the first night we didn't have a fire because, like I said, we were all really tired, so we sat in the camper and we watched the movie Jaws, which is Scott and Olivia's one of their favorite movies. I'm not a fan, but anyway, that's what we did Monday night.
So it's Tuesday. We're camping. This is our view from our camper door. And it's been 2 weeks since I did my nails. And the packaging said 7 days. Well, I stretched it to 2 weeks, but I can see why they meant for you to change them every 7 days because they just don't look so great by this point. Like that one's starting to peel up and catch on things. On day 12, this nail popped off, and this one was about to come off, so I took this one off. So I think instead of me trying to be a cheapskate and making these nails extend to 2 weeks, I am just going to go ahead and change them every week. That way they always look nice. So I don't think I'm going to video me doing my nails, but I will show you what they look like when I'm all done. Instead of using the acetone remover, I am going to try this product first. It's by the same company that the nails came from. And I'm going to see if this works. It's supposed to be Instant False Nail Remover. So we'll see. Well, in theory, this stuff should work good. But in reality, it does not work very good. My thumbnail came off fairly easy, but I'm having a hard time getting the rest of these off. So what I'm going to try now is the soaking in acetone method, and hopefully those cups don't melt. Well, Olivia was 100% right. 30 seconds. 30 seconds that acetone ate that plastic cup. Good thing I had this paper plate under it. She suggested I do that. Plan C. But I don't have a plan C. So I don't know what we're going to do. We'll figure something out. Putting them on is much faster and much easier than taking them off. That's for sure. And the best method I found is actually just to soak them in the acetone, and then they kind of pop off pretty easily. So that's what I'll probably do from now on. I'm not gonna bother buying any more of that other stuff because it just didn't work very good. I'm gonna have to get some sort of a glass container or something, bowl or something that I can soak my hands in with the acetone, because that worked. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do this like every week, every 10 days, something like that. After about 10 days, they just really start looking kind of ratty. So, yeah, I'm gonna do that. It is hot. It is really hot. Because it's been so hot today, we have not been doing much at all. We went for a walk this morning just around the campground. We're gonna have a later supper because I think we're gonna cook over the fire. And then maybe when it gets past 8 o'clock or something, we can maybe go for a walk. But it's been a really low-key day. Basically haven't done anything except sitting around. I come outside because they've actually got the air conditioning too cold in that camper. But yeah, other than me doing my nails today, I haven't been doing much of anything. Hopefully we end up doing more the rest of this week, or this is going to be a really boring video. Oh well, that's just the update for the afternoon. We're still hot. After that little pop-up rain shower we had, Travis and Olivia went out and put the lights up on the awning, which they had not done the day before because it was just, we were just too tired from the trip. But every time anybody would leave the camper, especially Olivia, this is what Oliver would do. He would stand up and look out the door up on his hind feet. He would even do that when everyone was in the camper and he just was curious about what was going on outside. It was just so funny. He did it all the time. This was not just a one-time occurrence. He did it all the time. Stood on his hind legs to look out the door. So this is what we had for supper Tuesday night. Scott built a fire and cooked burgers over a fire, and I had mine on sprouted grain bread with lots of veggies on the side and a few of my blue corn chips. So after that pop-up shower, believe it or not, the coals in the fire pit from when Scott fixed supper there was still a little bit of life left in them, and I was kind of in the mood for a campfire. So Scott was trying his best to get a campfire going, and we brought Sally out, and instead of putting her harness on her and tethering her up, he just put her on the picnic table because she's not going to jump off of there and she won't be able to get away. So we found that was a pretty good
place to put her when we didn't want to have to put her on the on her harness. But here Olivia is doing it so she doesn't have to stay on that picnic table the whole time. But yeah, there's a lot of smoke, not a whole lot of flame going on at this point. Scott found some of this stuff in the camper. We've had it for I don't even know how long. I'm not really sure, honestly, when we bought this. I think it might have just been from last year when we went to Turkey Run before we had our camper. But anyway, he said this was a perfect time to use this stuff up. So he put that on the fire to coax it into life. A lot of smoke, no flames.
There's too much smoke.
Smoke. This is what happens when your campfire gets downpoured on.
It's amazing.
Amazing it had
coals in it
had
at
any
all.
life to it.
It was a pretty good fire. Pretty hot.
Come on, I want to see the first flame. Ooh, I'm starting to see something. More smoke.
More smoke.
Ooh,
Soon you won't see anything.
except smoke. Goodness gracious. Woo! Now our some of this stuff is not wet. It
What is
should
this,
be
fireproof paper or something?
smoldering.
I think it's fireproof paper.
Goodness gracious. Yay!
I got him.
I'll toss you this whip. Pretty bad, huh? You hooked Travis's knee perfect. I don't know, it didn't toss very good. Not like I envisioned.
I got a pretty picture of the sunset on the lake.
You'll have to forward it to me when we get home. And here's one of the pictures of the sunset at the lake that Olivia took that she was talking about in the last clip.
It's really neat. That's an island out there. It'd be fun to be on the boat. Get up there and hop on an island and check it
Probably
out.
full of poison ivy.
Yeah, probably there isn't a clear spot on it. I suppose it just looks like woods anyway. Should have brought my phone. Taking a picture of these campsites. My boss was asking about this. He saw it. To him, this is I think to get to anything ready, probably gotta go way down this.
Well, it's kind of turning into a vacation from hell, kind of. That's kind of too strong of a term, but kind of close to that. It's another hot day. It's Wednesday, but we knew camping in July we were risking it being super hot. But now, that footage you just saw of our walk, about 2 minutes after I ended that footage, we ended up having to turn around and come back because the trail got very narrow, it was very muddy, and there was poison ivy everywhere. So when we got back, I had to get in the shower because I wasn't sure if I touched any or not. We're pretty sure Oliver got into it, so he had to have a bath. Yeah. So I don't know how much. I'm not going to be going back out on that trail. I'll do some walking around the park, and Travis and Olivia can go and risk it on the trails if they want to, but I don't want them taking the dogs because they'll get into that poison ivy. Travis dropped he bent down and stood up, and his hot hat got knocked off his head right into poison ivy. So we had to wash his hat when he got back. Yeah. And so now we're back inside the camper. It's getting close to lunchtime, so we'll probably have lunch soon, and I think we will probably just stay in here for the heat of the afternoon and then try going for another walk later. After that rain last night, it kind of cooled down a bit, and that's why we had the campfire. So hopefully it will cool down again tonight. But the other problem is the mosquitoes are not ferocious, but they're there, so that makes things less desirable as well. But that's all part of camping, I guess. Alright, well, that was my little update for Wednesday afternoon. I forgot to mention yesterday that Scott took the engine cover thing off, and to figure out why the engine kept backfiring. And what it was a simple fix, thank goodness, because I don't know what we would have done had it been something bad. But when we hit that really bad bump on the highway, it knocked a spark plug wire loose off of one of the spark plugs. So he was able to fix that, put it back on, ran the tester on it, and it's not misfiring anymore. So hopefully that doesn't happen again going home. But if it does, at least we'll know. We'll have to pull over, let the engine cool down, and he'll be able to fix it. But yeah, that was a pretty big bump we hit. That road was not good. In fact, when we go home, we're going to go home a different route, because bypassing Indianapolis was a nightmare. 4-lane, well, actually it was 8-lane traffic. It was awful. Horrible. I hate cities. I'm sorry if you live in a city and love them, but I hate cities. But anyway, we're gonna, even if it takes us an hour longer to get home Saturday when we leave, we are not going anywhere near Indianapolis.
And this is what we had for supper on Wednesday night. Scott cooked chicken on the grill. He boiled it first inside the camper, then he cooked it on the grill because it was raining yet again. I didn't take any footage of that, but it was raining yet again, so he could not cook over the fire. And I just cooked some potatoes in the microwave, and we cooked broccoli in the microwave. So this is what we had for supper. So up until this point, we were not having a very good time, to be quite honest. It was too hot, and it was too much rain, and we were spending too much time inside the camper. But I told the kids, we are going to change this around. We're not going to have any more grumpy spells, and we're going to do something fun. Scott's not one for playing games, and he was super tired, so he had gone to the back on the bed and was asleep. And the kids and I decided to play a game of Uno. And in this first picture, they are covering up the mirror that's by the dinette to prevent any unforeseen cheating by accident. And so that's what they're doing in this picture. And then in this picture, we are in full Uno mode, playing Uno. I can't remember who won. I can't remember honestly, but I think it was Olivia. I think she ultimately won the whole night. And Sally is all snuggled up in the sleeping bag on the floor while we were playing games.
Well, hello friends. It is Thursday and we are having a more fun day today. Much more fun. It's not quite as hot. It's in the 80s, but with the humidity it feels like 91. We have more of a breeze today, which really helps. That's the one thing I really wish we would have brought was a fan. I didn't even think about it because we have the air conditioner inside, and I wasn't even thinking about how much it would help being outside with the fan. But that is something I'm going to purchase to keep in the fan, or keep in the camper from now on. I'm going to get a fan that's specifically for the camper. As you saw, Olivia and I walked down to the lake, and the lake is kind of a muddy lake. It's great for fishing if you were a fishing person, but I would not swim in that water. It's just too murky for me. But we went down and waded in the edge of the water, and Olivia's been collecting some shells. We actually ate lunch sitting outside today, Olivia and I did, and we've been playing some games. Right now Scott is taking a nap, and I think Olivia is contemplating a walk. But another bad thing that happened to us is that Sally got hurt. She has an old injury. She injured her neck years ago, like 5 years ago, something like that. And it flares up on her once in a while. And when we took a long walk yesterday, she pushed herself too hard and it was too hot. And she pulled a muscle or inflamed something in there. So thankfully we brought some medicine for her that we give her when that injury flares up, and she's resting, and we're hoping that she'll be feeling better soon. Sally. Hi, baby. If you notice, she's moving her head real slow and stiff because of her sore neck. We are going to purchase her a doggy stroller. She's 11 years old and she's got this injury, and she just can't bounce back from things as quickly as she used to. So when we go camping and want to go on long walks, she's going to get a ride in the stroller. The one I was looking at is up to 35 pounds, so that if when Ollie gets old, we can still use the stroller for him. Oliver, what's the matter? He's distraught because Olivia just left. What are you chewing? Are you eating grass? Oh well. He has to learn to get over it, because one of these days Olivia's going to get a job and she's not going to be home all the time with him.
So as was typical for this camping trip, another pop-up storm came up. We would watch the weather or listen to the weather app on our phones, and it would say it would be clear and no storms, but then all of a sudden we'd have a pop-up storm. So this time I decided to film it.
This is what's coming in.
Nice.
But there's kind of a thin spot right there. Then there's more out here. You might be looking at rain for quite a while. There's your retro.
Oh, love it.
I think that's a genuine retro too. Not retro.
Vintage.
It could be modern, but maybe it, you know what, it's got one of those side mounted PCs on it. got some wind with it. There's always wind on the front edge. Hopefully that doesn't blow a bunch of rain in here. That'll be fine, I'm sure. We really stink at the power.
Don't say that.
Ooh, they got dark. Wow, it's moving pretty fast. It's like moving back. Come on.
Getting dark.
That's what's going on. That's good. So it actually came from back up.
Yeah.
So those far out booms we heard were in fact rain on them.
What?
Lightning.
I didn't see it.
Travis, can you go over there and put that bigger container on top of that smaller one? The smaller one has a few holes in the top. Probably should put it back in the compartment. But that's got our kindling in it. Since the wind's kind of coming this way, maybe it'll stay dry a little bit. Water's probably going to gather up here tonight. That's what it did before.
We're gonna have wind out there. Look at the river running down the road. It's the road river. It's even going around the corner.
So, as Scott predicted, that rain lasted the whole night. It just rained all night long, so we did not get a campfire again. So he fired up his grill, his gas grill that's outside the camper, and cooked our hot dogs on the gas grill. And as a side dish, I made a fried cabbage recipe. It's out of the Trim Healthy Mama cookbook. And I just decided, I made the decision, I was going to eat completely off plan for this meal, other than the cabbage. And I had a bun with my hot dog, and I did have a few of the Fritos, barbecue Fritos that are so good that I don't hardly ever eat. But that was the decision I made. And that's okay. As part of Trim Healthy Mama, you have the freedom to choose. And also, I totally went off plan later that night. We had another game night, and this time Scott joined us and we played Uno again, and it was so much fun. And we did have snacks, and I ate some candy. But this was the only day I completely blew it as far as Trim Healthy Mama goes. One of the things that was kind of disappointing when we first got there on Monday was that we discovered that the Nature Center and the gift shop were not open until Friday, and they were only open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So we had to wait all day, all week till Friday before we could go to the Nature Center. But the Nature Center was so neat. It had all kinds of taxidermied animals that are native to this part of Indiana. One of the things I didn't realize was that timber rattlers they're not common. They're on the endangered list, thank goodness, in my opinion. But they have been seen in this area of Indiana. In fact, that's what this snake was, and there was a snake skin there of a timber rattler that they found in this area of Indiana. Olivia found this bat skeleton fascinating, and I'm not really sure what the story is on this organ. There was nothing to read about it, to find out anything about it. I just thought it was a really nice, neat looking piece of history. It was a very old organ. And the thing I loved the most at the Nature Center was the little aquarium they had, and it had this little baby red-eared slider turtle in this little tank, and he was so cute. I just absolutely loved him. I loved his little face, and he was such a beautiful color of green. Now there was another slider turtle in the same tank, but it was a lot older one, a bigger one, and it was very skitterish, so we couldn't really get any pictures of it. But these red-eared slider turtles are native to Indiana, but they are in southern Indiana, not northern Indiana. So we don't have these little guys up where we live. But he was so adorable. I just wanted to take him home. So after lunch and after the Nature Center, Scott and Olivia and I decided to walk back down to the pier, which is a different part of the lake, not the beach. Travis stayed back at the camper with Sally, who was still not feeling well. And while we were there, we were watching this couple at the boat launch, the boat ramp there, and they had the boat on the trailer, and they were backing the trailer down into the water, and the trailer got in the water, and the guy didn't tell the woman that she needed to hold on to the rope, and the boat got loose and it started floating away. Luckily there was a young man there with a kayak, and he paddled out to the boat and he got a hold of the rope that the lady should have been holding on to, and he pulled the boat back up to shore, just to get the rope to the guy so he could finish pulling the boat in. But yeah, it was kind of funny. I missed the part where the boat just kind of started floating away off the trailer. The woman said, "Yeah, you're in the water, and then she looks back and she says, "And it's loose." It was kind of humorous in a way. Kind of felt sorry for him in a way. But yeah, obviously he did not tell that poor woman what she was supposed to do. Later I told Scott I felt sorry for that woman because I could relate to her, because I could see myself doing something just like that. But he said, "No, I would have made sure to tell you that you needed to hold on to the rope." Oh, he's going to pull the boat in.
Well, or he's going to crash into himself. You got enough rope there that it'll work.
Hard for him to paddle backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So Friday was by far the best day we had. It had cooled off quite a bit from that storm that had rolled through the day before. It stayed nice. It was like in the 70s all day and no rain. I think it was the only day that we didn't have any rain except for maybe Monday. So we were able to cook over the fire, or should I say Scott was able to cook over the fire, and so we had brats on the fire.
I hope I don't melt the thermometer. Melt my hand. Well,
You might need to take it off of there.
I'm just thinking there's already a hole in this end, so I don't want to put another hole in if I don't have to. Yeah, I think they could stand to go a little more. It's a 172.
So while the family had those brats, I decided I wanted to go a little bit lighter because I had eaten so much junk the day before. I wanted to try to get back on track. Plus, pork brats just don't agree with my system very well. They kind of make my stomach upset. I think there's too much grease in them. I much prefer the turkey brats, but I just bought the pork ones this time. But anyway, I ended up having some leftovers. This just is one of those leftover potatoes we had with some of that leftover taco meat. I had stuck it in the freezer because we had this on Monday, and by Wednesday I stuck it in the freezer. And then I had the last little bit of that slaw or cabbage, fried cabbage, and that's just a tiny little dollop of sour cream on top. And yes, I did have one s'more. I resisted and resisted and resisted, and then Scott said, "Oh, you can have one," and then I did, and it was really good. But I have to admit, being that I've been mostly sugar-free for so long, I did find that it was too sweet, and one was plenty. this was such a common sight on this trip. There were miles and miles of road construction. I never saw so many orange cones in my entire life. There was just, I mean, more, probably 90% road construction.
Oh boy.
We're definitely in the city.
Oh my goodness gracious. What the heck is that? I know, Holly, they're scary. What in the world? I hope they're going to a kid's party or something.
So you remember what I said on the first day about how we were going to avoid Indianapolis at all costs? Well, we put into our GPS for our home route that we wanted to avoid the interstates. So we took highways, like state highways, up until we got to Indianapolis, and we didn't realize that instead of going around Indianapolis completely, it took us straight downtown Indianapolis. It was crazy, and we ended up missing our turn. We were looking, we're following the GPS, and we totally missed our turn. So we wound up having to take the exit onto I-65, which went to I-465, which was the bypass which we had wanted to avoid in the first place, but we wound up back on the bypass. So we were trying to get to the right exit, and we were no longer able to really follow the GPS because it kept saying return to route, return to route. And we knew that once we got into 465, we could pretty much find ourselves home the rest of the way home. So I was helping Scott find the exit that we needed for 465 when all of a sudden I heard Olivia say, "Oh no!" And I turned around and looked, and poor Oliver had gotten car sick all over the place, all over the couch, all over the floor. The poor guy, it must have been from all of the stopping and starting and the ups and downs, and it was just a really crazy ride through Indianapolis. So poor Olivia, bless her heart, she was trying to clean it up, and she just said, "I can't do it. If I continue doing this, I'm going to have a mess of my own to clean up." So as soon as I found the exit that Scott needed to take, I had a huge mess to clean up. I guess you just never stop being a mom. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining me on our camping adventures. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was a long one. But you know what? I was trying to compact 6 days into one video, and I knew it was going to be a long video, but I hope you enjoyed it anyway. You know, not all adventures are amazing, and this adventure for our family was not amazing. It had a lot of ups and downs. We appeared in this video to be having a lot of fun, but it was only a 50-minute video and we were gone for 6 days. And so a lot of the time we were spent sitting in the camper because it was so hot or it was so rainy. And you know, we kind of got on our nerves a few times and a little bit, but we pulled it around, and in the end we had a really good time. It was a learning experience for us. We learned a lot. We learned that we are going to avoid big cities from now on, no matter what it takes, because that Indianapolis was a nightmare. And we also learned that our old RV, our 1996 RV, is going to need some TLC before we take it on another long trip. It started misfiring a little bit again when we were about an hour away from home. Scott's going to change all of the spark plug wires, and hopefully that will take care of it. But we're thankful to have the RV that we do have. We will be doing short trips the rest of this year and probably next year as well. We want to make sure that our RV is fit and ready and dependable before we take another long trip. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. I love hearing from you and talking with you in the comments. So until next time, friends, we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.